Hi everybody. We are looking a little rough today, but we're gonna fix that all up in today's video. Hi, thanks for clicking. My name is Catherine and I am a full-time mental health therapist, a lover of everything makeup and beauty, as well as reselling clothing online. If you want to find me in my other places besides YouTube, make sure you click below. I have all of my social handles and everything down there linked and everything. So today's video is gonna be possibly the start of a new series. Not too sure at this time, but we'll see. So I'd had this idea. Okay, I need to start doing makeup too, because this is looking rough. So I have my makeup in front of me, my brushes, my mirror, everything. So we're just gonna get ready together and talk about this new series. So I'm first gonna start off with this grwm by Sharon C. Flawless in Real Life. It is a skin perfecting foundation infused with green coffee extract, and mine is in the shade Fair Lady T1. So I'm actually gonna be using the products that most of the products that I'm using in my Shop My Stash, which I definitely will link below as well. Let's see if I can get this closer. This one I have this foundation, the original foundation, in my Shop My Stash, and I think it's in Fair Lady, I don't know, T3 or something, and it's quite yellow for my skin. So they came out with one for collaboration with Walmart. It's more of their less expensive line, and so I went to go pick that up in a different shade that matches me better, which this one matches me much better. So I'll probably be decluttering that other one. Anywho, so this video, my idea is doing makeup, mental health on Mondays. It's very loosely based off of Bailey Sarian's, what is that, murder, makeup, mystery, whatever Mondays. But this is my take on it. Ugh. And we'll see how it goes. I'm not super skilled in multitasking in the sense of like doing makeup and talking at the same time. So we'll see how it turns out. Anyways, how I got to this idea is, well, as I said in the intro, I love everything makeup, I love everything beauty, and I'm also a mental health therapist. And so, you know, makeup, mental health, Monday, who doesn't love a good alliteration like that too, right? So I figured I'd kind of like bring together some of the things that I love. And I had polled some people on my Instagram, and some people said that they would be interested in watching, so here we go. So a little bit of a disclaimer, I should say, is that although I'm a therapist, I'm not your therapist. So I don't plan on be doing any like, we're not gonna be like processing anything. We're not gonna be talking about traumas, like in particular, but we will be talking about trauma like as a whole, just to kind of discuss like what is trauma, you know, different things like that. So we'll talk about that. So this random person on the internet are talking about mental health. Well, not completely disaccurate or not accurate or whatever the term is. So I am a mental health therapist and I am licensed in the state of Arizona, meaning that I had to go to school for this. So I have been to graduate school and just graduated with a master's in, what do they call it? Masters of Arts in Education in Counseling. Basically, it's like master's in counseling is what I graduated with. So, you know, how to do all my schooling, how to do my practicum and internship and all of that jazz. And then after that, once you graduate, you basically get hired on as, and each state has their own different terminology of what they use. I've actually I've practiced in 3 different states with my licensure, and in each state it's completely different, and it's really annoying. And hopefully one day they will kind of integrate all of that together. I think that was supposed to be their goal for 2020, and clearly that didn't happen. So anyways, now we're moving on to, so first I used that foundation, and then this isn't in my Shop My Stash, but I've really been loving it. It's the One Size Turn Up the Base Butter Silk Concealer in Fair 3. I've really been liking that. And then now I'm going in with my Charlotte Tilbury Contour one in Fair to Medium. So anyways, yes, you do have to be licensed to practice, and it's very regulated. Yeah. So the licensure process. Basically what happens is you start off as an associate counselor or somebody who's still currently under supervision of a independently licensed counselor, and you have to accumulate so many hours of direct and indirect hours, and usually at least has to be 2 years of doing that before you can apply for independent licensure. And I am an independently licensed counselor, meaning I don't need required supervision to practice any longer. It is still obviously recommended that you still seek supervision regularly, but it's not necessary, if that makes sense. And I can also go out and do private practice on my own without needing that supervision. So just, yes, my credentials. I know what I'm talking about. I've had training, schooling in this area. Am I absolute rock star and expert in everything that we're gonna be talking about? No. But that, can you truly be? I don't know. Because human emotions and thoughts and behaviors are so complex that everything is always evolving. So where I'm gonna be coming from is just based off of my own experience as a counselor and my own mental health experiences as well, because I do struggle with dry skin. I do struggle with my own depressive episodes and anxiety episodes. So not only do I have the knowledge, like educational knowledge and training, but I also have personal knowledge too. So I figured it might be kind of cool to like go through different mental health topics, you know, talking about you know, like the topics that I'm thinking of are like, you know, what is depression? What is clinical depression? What is anxiety? You know, what are different types of traumas, and also different types of treatment for each as well. So I have my little notes in front of me. I'm a little bit nervous, not gonna lie, because it is kind of nerve-wracking to not only get on camera and do your makeup, but also like talk at the same time as and also know what you're talking about, if that makes sense. Anywho, so now we got our base on, not too shabby. are going to, what are we going to do next? We'll do eyes. So I'm going to be going in with the, what is this, the Natasha Denona Mini Retro palette. I think I'm going to go for like a green look. I've already primed my eyes with, what is it? I'm testing out this new Hydro Grip eye primer and base in the Milk Makeup Hydro family, and it's supposed to be like a base for not only your eyeshadow but also your concealer. I've used it for my concealer. I don't necessarily like it. I feel like my mascara transfers a little bit more, but I do like it for the base of my eyes. First, we're gonna go in and set that. I'm going in with the Beauty Bay Wilderness palette and just using this color up here called Snow just to kind of set that primer. What were we talking about? Let me look to my notes. Okay, so I guess we should, what is mental health, right? We hear it talked about a lot, but do we know what it is? So I think we all have a good understanding of like what physical health is. You know, and my definition is pretty much ensuring that your body is, you know, doing what it needs to be doing, right? There's no issues preventing it from being able to do what it's naturally supposed to do, right? You know, like your organs are working as they should, your, you know, heart has a regular beat, your chemicals are balanced, your, you know, blood flow is good. I don't know, you can tell I'm not a medical professional in that sense of the term. But your physical health, or I'm sorry, your mental health is the same, right? Ensuring that your emotions, your feelings, your thoughts, your behaviors are all running as they should. And what that means is, I mean, we all have a range of like what things should be doing, right? So like my mental health is going to be different than your mental health within the details. You know, in general, we all have this idea of what is acceptable mental health and what's not. Sorry, this is going on a little patchier here. So yeah, sorry. This is hard to do this and talk at the same time. I'll get better at it, I swear. So yes, your mental health is basically just ensuring that your feelings, your emotions, and your behaviors are of a healthy manner. You know, they are doing what they are supposed to be doing, and that also involves, you know, your chemicals, your ability to process information, how you're expressing that information, a whole slew of things that can impact your mental health, right? And so when some things are not working as they should, then mental health issues arise, right? So like, say for instance, and this is just a very simplistic way of thinking about it. So say for instance, you are having feelings of depression, right? So that could lead back to maybe your chemicals or your hormones are imbalanced, and it's, you know, causing feelings of depression. Same thing with anxiety. you know. But also, so we'll talk about it in 3 different prongs. So there's what I've been taught in school and what I believe to be like what makes most sense to me is a biopsychosocial model. So breaking that down, there's the biological component, so your genetics, you know, what your biological parents gave you in terms of, you know, chemicals, all that jazz, if they're balanced, if they're not balanced. But just because, so although there are statistics showing that, you know, if you have a parent or a family member who has a diagnosis of any sort, there is a greater likelihood that you will experience the same, but that's just one piece of the pie. So there's other pieces, including your biopsycho, so that's your own psychological. So we're all born with our own like psychological personalities, right? And again, those can be fostered in growing up. So I think I'm gonna go in with, you see that right there, Ivy. So kind of, all right, we're starting back. So we have our own different types of personalities that we're born with that again can be affected by different things, you know, growing up. And so it's kind of funny, you know, like people say, oh, talking about childhood, like I have a lot of clients who come into therapy where like, oh, you know, I'm experiencing depression or anxiety or rapid mood swings or anything like that. And they're like, but I don't want to talk about anything in childhood. Oh, okay. Yet when I go through an intake, like we have to talk about some history just so I can see where people are coming from. And they're like, oh, they have these like super traumatic childhoods. And it's like, you don't think that your childhood has anything to do with how you're experiencing things now? Okay. So although we don't need to focus so much on your past or your childhood, we do need to acknowledge that it has had a part in how you're behaving now. And we can do that through different interventions, different modalities of therapy, which there's a slew of them, and we can definitely talk about more about that in future videos. Okay. So we're just kind of packing that on, kind of creating that little outer V. Getting a really nice darky green eye. I wasn't expecting to go this vampy, but it's there. Okay. So we talked about the biological part, we talked about the psychological part, and then the last part is the social part, or your environment. So that has a huge impact as well in how you feel about yourself, how you feel about others, what thoughts that you're having, and then your behaviors. So, you know, a real basic example is, you know, the environment that you're growing up in. Do you feel like it's chaotic? Do you feel like there's a lot of moving pieces in your in your life, like, and you don't have much peace? Do you feel like there was a lot of trauma that occurred in your childhood? And again, we'll talk more about like what trauma is and is not later. Or did you grow up like with very loving parents that, you know, were patient with you, and you had appropriate attachment styles to them? And again, we'll talk about that, or we can talk about that, different attachment styles, you know. And so how I think of it is that it's, and I kind of describe it to my clients, is that, so you take the biological component, the social component, and the psychological component, you kind of put them all together, and it's almost like this stars aligning, if you will, in whatever way that you want to consider it, whether it's good or bad or neutral or however you consider it, for mental health, right? So kind of is like a breeding ground for potentially mental health issues in the future. And I'm also not saying that, say for instance, you have a parent with depression and that you had trauma growing up when you were younger and you grew up in a chaotic lifestyle, that you will have depression in the future. But research shows that you are at a higher likelihood to have that. Because if we think about it, so not only we'll go along with that example of depression. So not only do you have a parent, so the genetic component of depression, but probably that parent is not very good at coping with their depression, right? They're not managing it, which could lead to other environmental and psychological issues within yourself, right? Because your parents, or your caregivers, I should say, are your role models. And if your role models are not role modeling appropriate mental health management, then you in turn do not learn appropriate mental health management. Does that make sense? Cool. Are we even? I feel like we're even. It'll look better, I swear. It'll come together. All right. What do I want to do now? I think I want to add this Mossy Green, and then we'll do like a matte inner corner highlight. Yes, that is what I think we'll do. Just spraying my brush with this setting spray that's in my Shop My Stash. It's a little bit too illuminating as like the makeup setting mist in my opinion, but it's perfect for wetting down the brushes. So let's see how it's gonna work. Ooh. Okay. All right, so my own mental health journey. So I struggle with my own feelings of depression, meaning, actually I should back up. Okay, let's talk about emotions. So as humans, we should all experience emotions, all of them: anger, sadness, fear, anxiety, you know, kind of those ups, those downs, however you want to call it. That's normal. Those are normal emotions to have, and those emotions tell you something, right? They're literal feedback your body is giving you of what you're experiencing and what we should be learning from it, right? Because our body is constantly processing through things, it's constantly learning about itself and evolving, and trying to be as efficient as possible, right? So we are supposed to feel emotions so our body knows what to do. Our body knows how to handle them. It's when our emotions are too far on those spectrums, right, for too long, that's when it's not healthy anymore, right? So when we're feeling too sad for too long, that's not healthy, because we're not supposed to be feeling that way. We're supposed to be learning as to, okay, what's making us sad? Let's fix it. But there's sometimes when we're feeling sad for so long and we don't know why we're sad. We have zero idea. So that's when treatment comes into play. And when I say treatment, there are definitely different types of treatment that we can engage in. So most commonly, people will, oh, don't stab myself. People most commonly think of medications as treatment, right? So that is kind of gearing us more towards the chemical sides of things, right? So medications are developed to help us with those chemical imbalances, right? And again, this could definitely be another topic. I'm not, probably not, because I'm not super skilled in that, nor am I trained. It's more of my own research that I've done. But so like different medications help with different hormones, chemicals in the body, you know. So depression, there have been a lot of research about how it's either like too much of something or too little of something, and it could be different types of chemicals. So that is one form of treatment, is medications. Now I will say that I am a therapist, so I'm not a medical professional about medications, so I'm not going to tell you what sort of medications you need to be on. You need to do your own research and you need to talk to your own doctor, because that is not my area of expertise. But it is one route of treatment, and I always tell my clients, because you know, I have some clients who are like gung-ho, yes, medication is the answer, which in some cases it is, right? Sometimes we need that. I always call it a tool. Medication is a tool, just like everything else is a tool or a coping skill. So we can take medications to help alleviate those initial symptoms. So another tool is therapy, right? We get into therapy, we examine more about those, I should say, we further examine those feelings, those emotions, and those behaviors, and see what is working and what is not working for you anymore. And I'm trying to think, what do I want? I'm trying to think for my eyeliner. We will go in with ColourPop Cream Gel Liner in Swerve, which is just their black. So let's go in with that. Ugh. Does anybody else just get like their eyes start tingling when you put eyeliner on? Because mine sure do. All right. So we talked about how feelings are important, right? It is important that we have them. It is when they become out of that range for too long and to what extreme that it becomes kind of unhealthy for us, right? Because then we start usually engaging in really bad behaviors to help cope with that, which can lead to more problems. Like, it's kind of the cyclical pattern. So we'll take, for example, we are feeling depressed. So we feel depressed or feeling sad, down for majority of the day, really low motivation, and maybe some hopelessness, helplessness. These are all key clinical terms for depression, which we will definitely get into. So what do we do to make us feel better? That is a coping skill, but can turn bad pretty quickly. One example is like engaging in substances, right? So we could be drinking alcohol, we could be using other illicit drugs, and in the meantime, it takes away those feelings of sadness, right? It makes us feel better. It makes us be able to socialize more with people. So in essence, substances are a coping skill. It's when they become overutilized that more problems arise, is when abuse and dependence can be a problem. So, and why I say, you know, you have an issue and then you kind of cope with it in an unhealthy way, well, that unhealthy way eventually can make you feel more depressed, which then makes you need that coping skill even more, which again makes you more depressed. So therapy kind of like injects yourself into that, and it's how do we get off this revolving hamster wheel? Like, let's look at our thoughts, let's look at our behaviors, and let's see where we can make small changes and tweaks in order to alleviate that, both the poor coping skill and the poor or unhealthy feeling. So that's my job. That's where I come in. All right, so let's get some mascara on. Well, first, actually, no, take that back. Let's put on some blush. So I'm using the CoverGirl, just the classic blush in Soft Mink. And what I like about this one is it kind of has a sheen to it, so it's like a highlighter and blush all at once. Now there's different like makeup styles that some people are like putting it more back here, kind of more the 80s styles, snatchy up here. Some people are putting it more on the apples and then over their nose where it's more sun-kissed. I honestly can't decide which one I like better, so I just kind of combine them both, and like my whole face is a blush mess. Makeup is fun. Do what you want with it. Okay. Ooh, eyebrows. How did I forget? All right, let's do that. So I think I was talking about my own mental health journey. So I have bouts of depression and bouts of anxiety. I would say my depressive symptoms are definitely more pronounced than my anxiety. Yeah, so my depression is definitely more pronounced than my anxiety is, but I still experience anxiety. I would not say that I have a clinical condition of an anxiety disorder. I just have, you know, within, you know, we were just talking about those ranges. Sometimes that range gets a little bit too high, but it's not all the time like some people have. I more just have like short little bursts of it in inopportune moments, say that. So some strong brows. Let's kind of comb them through. So my depression, I can say that waxes and wanes, just like all mental health issues do. I would say I do not have it as severe as other people have, or some of my clients that I work with, but also I do experience it, so I am able to kind of like come from that perspective and help them in that way, which is nice. There's a lot of my clients who, and part of my counseling style is I'm very like conversational, and I'm not going to be like a total open book because you do need to have boundaries in therapy sessions, but I do open up about things about myself that I feel would be beneficial for the client. Because, you know, a lot of the times with mental health, you kind of feel alone. You feel lonely in your thoughts and your feelings because not a lot of people are open about them in your life. At least not so much in my life. And it took me becoming a therapist and kind of realizing more about my feelings and being more honest about my feelings, because I definitely was not honest with myself or with other people about how I was feeling. And once I started opening up about it more, other people felt more comfortable about opening about their issues. And so I kind of used that in therapy as well. You know, if I'm open about talking about some of my stuff with them, hopefully they'd feel more comfortable with me to open up to me, because, you know, you do need to have some openness in therapy to for it to be most beneficial. All right, so let's work on some mascara. So I'm using the Lancome Lash Idéal. All right, and of course I do mascara and I get a little smudgy over here, so we're just gonna let that dry really quick and we'll flake it off. So yeah, that's kind of my own mental health, and I still struggle with it. You know, even just because I am a therapist doesn't mean I don't struggle with my own mental health therapy. It's kind of that antidote of those who can't do teach. So sometimes I feel that way, because logically speaking, I know some of the things that I need to be engaging in that I don't necessarily do, and that's where a lot of the issues arise. It's because logically we all know what we need to be doing, but it's the emotional part that really keeps us back, and that shows how powerful emotions can be and how they can affect your life. So anyways, let's kind of finish off this look. I have Huda Beauty Angel Cream Lipstick. Hi, tea. We're gonna top it with the Uoma by Sharon C Floss Gloss High Shine Lip Gloss in Rosy. All right, let's go do this hair real quick, and we'll come back and wrap up. All right, not too shabby for my first on camera get ready with me. All right, so just kind of recapping everything. So this is just a new series that I'm thinking of doing. This is kind of my test run, so I would appreciate any suggestions in the comments, or you know, any topics that you'd like to discuss. Again, this is not going to be discussing about any one particular person's mental health concerns on an individual basis, but more of a collective basis of, you know, what is depression, what do people experience, different types of you know, disorders, depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, bipolar, all these types of things, and kind of go in a little bit more detail of what each is, what people experience, and then some treatment modalities. And this is a way to kind of like help people get a little bit more comfortable in just talking about mental health. I mean, it's important. Everybody has a brain, so we all have the ability to have skewed mental health, right? So not only feeling more comfortable about talking about mental health, but better mental health awareness, as well as helping people like maybe feel a little bit more comfortable into going into therapy if they need it. And we can definitely discuss what therapy is and is not, because a lot of people have a lot of misconceptions of what therapy is. So we can definitely talk about that too. Again, I am a therapist, but not your therapist. So if you are already seeing a therapist, that is wonderful. Hopefully you're making great progress in it, and maybe even commenting below some like wisdom that your therapist has shared with you, or what you've learned in therapy. That's always beneficial. So just be aware of that this is not advice that you should be taking, just something that you could think about. So yeah, with that being said, please share like any topics that you'd like to be discussing. We'll see how this goes. I hopefully get a little bit better about putting on makeup while talking. It is quite difficult, so I give kudos to those people who can do it. It's good for them. So hopefully I get a little bit better at that. Other than that, if you like any other sort of like makeup or beauty content, please consider subscribing. I definitely do a lot of beauty content on this channel as well as reselling content. So if you like that too, please subscribe. Please like this video and turn on all sorts of notifications. Do all the YouTube things that there is to help grow this channel and promote it. Other than that, I'll be seeing you later. Bye.